Today we'll be taking a look at some interesting things going on with Seth Rollins and his character right now. For the past few years, Seth Rollins was one of the top babyfaces on the roster. He was a main event talent and even defeated Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Everything seemed to be going well for Seth until the Bray Wyatt feud happened. Seth lost the title to Bray Wyatt, and as Seth even said himself, it was just all downhill from there. Seth was still a babyface, but the live crowds started to turn on him and boo him. So WWE was forced to turn Seth Rollins heel. Seth aligned himself with the AOP, and that's when we got our first glimpse at the new heel, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins referred to himself as the Monday Night Messiah. He believed that he was Raw's true leader and that everyone should follow him. Seth Rollins already had the AOP and Murphy by his side, so Seth really thought he had something special going on there. Remember on one episode of Raw, we even got a reveal of a heel referee that was also a follower of Seth Rollins and his new group. So everything was running smoothly. We continued to get more of this normal heel Rollins until Money in the Bank. Seth Rollins had his eyes set on winning the WWE title from Drew McIntyre and really believed that there wasn't even a chance that he'll lose that match against Drew. Well, Seth did lose that match, and that loss seemed to have sparked something within him. After the Money in the Bank match, Drew McIntyre gave props to Seth Rollins for really giving it all he had, and we even saw Seth and Drew shake hands at the end of the title match. Of course, heels would never shake a babyface's hand like that at all. So, when we all saw that handshake by Seth Rollins, we were wondering if we'll be seeing the babyface Seth Rollins make his return. Turns out Seth's current state could be way deeper than we all think. Let's take a look at Seth Rollins' overall appearance and behavior on the Raw after Money in the Bank. Seth Rollins came out with a messy hair look, and he was completely zoned out. A perfect comparison that comes to mind is Festus. Festus was Luke Gallows' first character in the WWE, and to sum it up, Festus was zoned out at all times and didn't react to anything. But once the bell rang, he swapped modes. That's sort of what we saw with Seth Rollins, but it was something much different that triggered him to swap modes. Seth came out on Raw, got on the apron, and just stood there without moving a single muscle and was just staring at the ground. It was originally a tag team match, but as the commentators pointed out, it was like a 2-on-1 match for Murphy because he couldn't tag in this spaced out version of Seth Rollins. Eventually, Rey Mysterio gets a cheap hit on Rollins, and this finally causes Seth Rollins to snap out of it and finally show some signs of life. But the problem was that Seth snapped harder than ever before. Seth Rollins completely took out Rey Mysterio by using that steel staircase on his face and left Rey completely destroyed. The camera follows Seth Rollins up the ramp, and he just had that look on his face. Tells us that this was a new side to Seth Rollins, and definitely not someone you would want to mess with. Here's where things get a bit interesting and makes us really think. WWE recently released a backstage segment where Rey Mysterio is in the back getting medical attention from WWE doctors. Seth Rollins shows up and he's acting completely different from how we last saw him in the ring. He sounded apologetic and looked like he was there to really check on how Rey was doing. Just telling by his tone of voice and how concerned Seth sounded, it really was like babyface Seth Rollins was talking. He was acting nothing like the monster that we just saw take out Rey Mysterio at ringside. So that brings us to this latest Seth Rollins theory. What if the Money in the Bank loss affected Seth so much that he's suffering and dealing with multiple personalities? In one episode of Raw alone, we really saw 3 sides of Seth Rollins. We saw the zoned out, muted version, then we saw the absolute monster version, then we saw the calm and almost babyface-like version of Seth Rollins. So it's very scary, yet really interesting for Seth's character. One thing that comes to mind was how Kane handled his multiple personalities gimmick a while back. Dating back to a few years ago, Kane was dealing with multiple personalities as well. Kane was playing the corporate Kane role, which was really a nice and sweet guy to everyone, even nice to his rivals. But at the same time, Kane was instantly switching to his monster side, which was just vicious and laid out everyone in sight. And when you confronted corporate Kane about Monster Kane's action, Kane would say that he didn't have any idea what you were talking about. It only lasted a few weeks, but it was really interesting to see Kane work with two personalities and constantly switch back and forth between the two. This is a great time to remind you to take a quick second to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the videos. A large percentage of our viewers are not even subscribed to the channel, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's get back into the story. Nowadays, we do have Bray Wyatt, who's continuing to do the multiple personalities sort of thing himself. So you really don't want to copy that too much from Bray and overdo it, but it does look like it'll be interesting for Seth Rollins' character. Remember that Seth Rollins also had a feud with the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, not too long ago, and WWE always promotes this idea that getting into the ring with the Fiend will really change you and take a toll on you. So are we finally seeing the effects of Seth Rollins just getting into the Fiend influence? That's definitely an amazing theory as well. Maybe the monster version of Seth Rollins is his Fiend persona, and the babyface Seth Rollins is his Firefly Funhouse persona. Definitely looks like a possibility for Seth Rollins. That's just the theory that's going around, and really made this theory seem true was once again that backstage segment with Seth Rollins going to see how Rey Mysterio was doing. Seth just viciously destroyed Rey Mysterio during the match, but then he's going to go check on him backstage and completely switch his tone to sound concerned. Something is definitely going on there because that just doesn't add up and isn't something we'll usually see. Some fans are a little iffy on this being what's actually going on here because how much it mirrors Bray Wyatt's gimmick. However, Bray Wyatt and The Fiend are portrayed as two separate characters, and that really won't be the case here for Seth Rollins. Seth isn't turning into a whole different character like the way Bray does. It looks like Seth just has drastic mood and attitude changes. So yeah, this could be similar to Bray Wyatt, but at the same time, it's a little different, so it can still work. I personally love this theory and hope it's true. Before his heel turn, Seth's character kind of lost direction and purpose. The heel turn definitely pushed Seth in the proper direction, but if he really adds this mixed persona gimmick on top of everything, then that'll really send him over the top. His character will definitely be really interesting once again. It'll keep us guessing because we don't know what version of Seth Rollins we'll be seeing week to week. Will we see the Messiah version of Seth Rollins, the kind Seth Rollins, or that monster version of Seth Rollins that took out Rey Mysterio? It opens up a lot of potential and is a breath of fresh air for Seth's character. Maybe Seth just becomes so unstable that even superstars are scared because they don't know what side of Seth will confront them. The possibilities are absolutely endless here. So, what caused this to happen to Seth Rollins? I'm still sticking with the Money in the Bank match as being the reason behind this attitude change. Seth fully convinced himself that he was walking out of Money in the Bank as WWE champion. So when this reality hit him, that he lost the match, he probably couldn't handle it. But we'll give it a few weeks to see what WWE does with Seth Rollins, and then we'll revisit the story to see what has happened. What are your thoughts on Seth Rollins' mixed personalities theory? Leave your comments, don't forget to subscribe, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.